posted one evening. The police department came out there and they responded to a family disturbance, and we were calm and everything. When they got there, my son and I were outside talking. Police came up and, we were talking to them. Nope, the officer sat my son down on the sidewalk, and then the other officer came up toward me and had a flashlight on my face, and it was blinding me, right? So he just kept getting closer and closer, and he wouldn't put it down. And I just said, "Sir, please, could you please remove it off, off my face? I can't see you." And he says, "I did, Miss Rojas, I did." And he continued to get closer, stepped forward, closer and closer, but he wouldn't remove it out of my eyes. I couldn't see anything. And completely blinded, and he demanded me to put my hand down. He says, "Put your hand down." And I put it down, and when I did, it tipped his flashlight, and the flashlight went on the ground, and he tackled me. And sat on top of me, trying to secure me. That's what he said. And my son totally freaked. My son, I did call out his name. I said, "Christopher." I'd never been arrested before or anything. I don't.
Traumatic.
It was unreal. And my son charged at him. I mean, I called out for his help. I totally freaked, and my son reacted. I think my son reacted to it the way any other son would, protecting his mom, or responding. So they took him in for assaulting an officer, interfering with public service, and they took me in for interfering with public service, and they tried to say that I also resisted arrest. Oh, that's another one. Resisted arrest and assaulted an officer because I knocked the flashlight out of his hand. But that's how close he was.
Because you couldn't see.
I couldn't see anything. I just put my hand down like he asked me to. And so then all this happened, and they secured my son. They had me in handcuffs. They sat me down on the edge of the sidewalk. And then the sergeant drives up, Sergeant Villa, which is Pflugerville Police Department. And he comes up and he says, "What are we doing here?" Because one of the officers was trying to undo the cuffs and let me go. I mean, I didn't do anything, And he says, "Well, I'm going to let her go." And Sergeant Villa says, "Oh, no, you're not. No. What did she do?" And he talked to the other officer. "She knocked the flashlight out of my hand," he said. And he goes, "Nobody's going to do that to any of my men and get away with it." So he says, "Take her in." And they stood me up, walked Mr. Villa and the other officer, walked me to the police car, and Mr. Villa says, "So resisting arrest, huh?" And at the same time, he's like holding on to this something on his shoulder. I figured it was maybe a microphone or something, recording something. And he's like, "Resisting arrest." And I said, "No, sir." And I'm standing there, "No, absolutely not. I know better." And he says, "So resisting arrest, huh?" And he said it firmer and then louder. And then he says, "Get up against the car." And I stood up against the car, and he shoves my face onto the car, And I was like, between the, the trunk, and here's the car, the top, and he shoved my face into the car. My feet were off the ground.
Wow.
My handcuffs were so tight that I couldn't feel these 3 fingers on both hands for at least 2 months. That is no exaggeration. I still have problems with it, I don't have all the feeling back in it, but I was totally abused. And Mr. Villa didn't even have to talk to me or whatever. If he was going to arrest me, he would have said, well, just take her and arrest her. But why would he have to shove my face in the car, scream out, continue to scream,
And this is Sergeant Villa of the Pflugerville Police Department?
Yes, Sergeant
Bunch
Villa
of
of the
thugs.
Pflugerville Police Department. And there was no need for that. There was no need for that abuse. I'm distraught. I can't believe it happened. I'm traumatized. Have nightmares. I'm like...
Sounds like a horrific experience.
It was.
Where are you in the process now? Did you have court today?
They dropped my case.
They did?
They did. Well, I didn't do anything,
Right. Yeah, you still had to go through all that.
I had to go
How long
through
did it
all.
take to get the case dropped?
It took about, I want to say about 8-9 weeks
Okay.
to get it dropped. And then my son is still here, and they want him to do 6 months in jail and probation and all this other, kind of stuff. And
Is it a
my
felony
son-
charge or?
It's a felony. Yeah, it's a felony because he, what do they call it? Assaulted an officer.
Right.
Yeah, but how much money has the prison industry made so far off of this case?
Oh my gosh.
You have lawyers? Like how much do you put into the lawyers?
No, actually, I just represented myself.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What about your son?
My son is being represented by attorney Wanamaker, and
Okay. Is it pro bono or is it?
it's pro bono.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Good.
Yes, it's pro bono.
Okay.
And he finally got to see the tape, and he says we got a really good case. Christopher just responded to his mother's scream and just reacted. Christopher wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
The officer that came up to me had no reason to do what he did.
It sounds like the officers escalated the situation.
They did.
Yeah, definitely.
They did, because I was standing there talking to him, and I'm doing this number because the light is in my face, and I understand, sure, they've got to check, or is she drunk, is she got drugs, is she, stable, is she, whatever, their reason may be, and that's why they do that. I understand, but even after him telling me I have Ms. Rojas, like, I did remove it from your eyes, what's the matter with you? Like he's wanting this to be recorded,
Right.
so the court can hear what he's saying, but they can't see what is really going on.
Right. They will set you
Gotcha.
up to try to
They
condemn yourself.
set it all up.
Gotcha.
They set
Okay.
it all up.
Thank
Well,
you
is
very
that,
much.
yeah, thank you, definitely.
Okay.
All right, and last question was, about what date was this?
This was 2.5 months ago.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. We really appreciate it. And we're very sorry about what happened to you and your son.
28th of February.
Okay. All
Good
right.
luck with everything.